you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Folks, it's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the early season that makes official. Welcome to 16 years, 2,800 episodes of the Chris Voss Show, because we had nothing better to do. That's what we do. And we want to make the world a better place, entertain you folks, and make life good for everybody. So that's why we have the most amazing authors on the show, and along with some guy with a mic who's an idiot who hosts it. Wait, I got to quit reading the teleprompter. Anyway, guys, refer the show to your friends and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss1 on the TikTok, and all those crazy places in the internet. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today, we have an amazing young lady on the show with us today. We're going to get into her book that came out March 31st, 2026. Boy, man, we're getting there into March. We're already in April now. The book is entitled Mumba, the Lion Who Forgot to Roar, by Subomi Macaulay. Did I get that right?
Subomi Macaulay.
Macaulay, just Macaulay Calkin. Subomi Macaulay. She's going to be joining us on the show. She gave me the assist there for the name and all that good stuff, so we're going to get into it. She is a passionate storyteller who believes in the power of imagination to inspire confidence and curiosity in young readers. Her debut book, the aforementioned, was born from her love of creating joyful, meaningful stories that help children embrace their unique strengths. She enjoys connecting with families through reading events and hopes her work encourages children to celebrate who they are. Welcome to the show, young lady. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you for coming. Give us any .coms, websites, anywhere you want people to find you on the interwebs.
They can go to my website, www.subomimacaulay.com. That is SUBOMI Macaulay, MACAULAY.com.
All right. And give us a 30,000 overview of what's inside your book.
So this book is my debut children's book, and it teaches a life lesson to young children because as the African Storyteller, that is a name I hold dear and proudly to, I like to tell stories to young children that teach them life lessons, put them in the story because then they take notice. So in this book, Mumba the lion who forgot to roar, they see themselves in the story and they understand that their voice is their power.
The voice is your power. And that's an important lesson to learn, I think, isn't it, for young people?
Absolutely, because if you don't tell your story, someone else will, and they might not tell it truthfully.
Well, you want to have it told truthfully because, otherwise, people, they'd be making up their own stories. You can't have that. And
Absolutely.
So what was this? Tell us about the character in here, Mumba, and what is he up to there?
As you know, I'm a native African, and I try to teach a little bit about Africa in all my stories. So this story is set in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which is in Central Africa. And it is set on, of course, the Democratic Republic of the Congo has a famous river, the Congo River, which is the third largest river in the world. So Mumba the lion is sitting on the banks of the Congo River, and he is protecting the tropical rainforest. He is defending the land from all the enemies. He is protecting the animals, and he is the king of the jungle. That's who Mumba is.
Yeah, Mumba, king of the jungle. I've done the Congo. I've never been there, but I've done the Congo. Is that a thing? What was the proponent as to why you decided to write this particular book about this particular character in the story you told?
This story teaches that silence is not always noble. In a world where stories shape reality, you must tell the truth. You must protect your name and share your journey, not out of pride, but out of responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not out of pride, but out of responsibility. We all have stories. I mean, we often say on the Chris Voss show, at least I do. I think I'm the only one on the show, technically, as a host. I often say stories are the fabric of our lives. They are who we are. Regardless, yes. I mean, good, bad, or ugly, whatever your stories are, maybe some bad things happen to you. We are the summation of all of our stories. And without them, we'd probably be nothing. If I didn't have any good stories, I'd just be sitting here, I don't know, drooling out the side of my mouth or something, which is, Fridays around the Chris Voss show.
For me, identity must be affirmed, not assumed. Truth must be carried like a flame, tended, protected, and shared. That's what truth is. A roar is not noise, it is presence.
Yeah. So we talked about the griot in African history of the tribesmen or tribeswomen that were saddled with being the tribe historian. Tell us a little bit about that term. I've talked about a lot in the show, and I love the concept of it.
So my fond nickname is the African Storyteller. So in Africa, I would be called a griot, a keeper of the history of our culture. And as a keeper of the history of our culture, you are one with the soil. So it is passed down from family to family. Like in my family, I inherited this gift of storytelling from my maternal grandmother, who was the African storyteller, who was the original storyteller, the griot, because she got that from her mother. So it is passed down in a family lineage, and you are one with the culture. You understand the practices. You understand the culture. You understand the history behind the culture. Griot is a keeper of all history.
And we were joking. I was always joking. I'm like, what happens if the lion eats the griot? But evidently they're supposed to be good with animals, evidently. So hopefully they are.
They're one with the land. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm one with the land whenever I trip and fall, and it hurts. But evidently, I'm not very good on good terms with the land. That's why I skinned my knees. And now, is this your first book that you published?
Yes, it's published on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, on my website. This is my first debut children's book.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What got you into writing books? How early did you start writing, and when did you kind of know you had a knack for it?
I did not know I had a knack from it, but I retired after a long career in human resources. And one thing you'll know about employee relations and human resources, you do a lot of writing, disciplinary actions. So I'm used to the format of writing in a professional manner and telling a story by being neutral. And that's what storytelling is. So when I retired, I started a nonprofit, and I loved working with children. And in my character as the African storyteller, I'm telling stories. And I said, you know what? I should write some of these stories. So about a year ago, I started to jot down my notes, which have now become the book, Mumba, the Lion Who Forgot to Roar.
I like how you give it the accent. Mumba, the Lion Who Forgot to Roar.
Yes.
So, I mean, what a wonderful thing. And you hope to, I mean, who reads this book, and who do you hope's reading it, and what they might gain from it?
It's funny you asked that. This book was designed for children 3 to 12, but anybody can read the book and learn the message in the book. Because like I said, every story teaches a life lesson.
Wow. And so give us an example of some of the lessons you cover in that.
Okay, so in this book, you learn that reputation must be protected. It cannot be assumed. You learn that humility is good, but silence can be harmful. So speak. Don't keep your mouth closed. Speak. Lies grow when the truth stays quiet. And leadership requires communication, not just action.
Yeah. Leadership, it definitely does. I mean, you can say all you want, but if you don't do what you're supposed to do, it's not going to work out.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. And I've certainly witnessed that over the years. And now, do you see this book coming out as a series, maybe continuing further books with the same characters?
Absolutely. I'm not sure about the same character. You're not the first person to ask me that. I did a book reading yesterday, and they wanted to know if I was going to do a Mumba the Lion book too.
Oh.
So you never know. It could develop, but I'm writing my second book right now as we speak. It's going to send another message because every story teaches a life lesson.
Every story teaches
a life lesson.
That's really important to have, right?
Yes, because your story strengthens others. People learn from your stories because it's real life lived examples.
Real life lived example is the way to take and do it. When did you start writing? When did you kind of find you had a knack for it?
So about 2 years ago, I also do live performances as the African Storyteller. And after the performance, the head of the company came to me and said, "You should write a book." And I said, "What makes you say that?" "You need to teach these lessons and have people be able to read the lessons in the book. And I like the way your plot line goes." So I said, okay. I just started jotting down a few lines here and there. And voila, today we have Mumba the Lion.
Mumba the Lion.
Mumba.
It's quite an adventure. And now you one of the things you offer do is come do readings to places, things along those lines. Tell us about what you offer there.
I'm currently on contract with about 14 libraries in the children's section.
Wow.
As well as I go to schools at events and I put on my costume as the African Storyteller. And I actually tell the stories and teach life lessons because my goal as the African Storyteller is to enrich lives and promote culture.
And enriching people's lives, sharing stories. And this is how we learn lessons. This is how we learn from each other. This is how we learn how life works. It's pretty cool where we learn these things and we know what to do with our lives and all that good stuff. So I love it. Stories, whether they're fiction or nonfiction, we all learn. And the other thing is I don't know if you want to talk about this at all, but when stories are a way that we help sharpen our minds. Reading is a way that we help sharpen our minds.
Yes.
And it's so great when I hear parents, and we've talked about this a lot on the show, when we hear parents that are like reading to their children, getting their children involved in reading, teaching them to read. The brain just develops so much better when it has that opportunity. And
it's funny you say that because I work with kids so much. I've now started grooming a set of young leaders. And to be a young leader, you have to be admitted into the reading circle that I create.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So when I do a story time, I pick 5 children from the audience who volunteer, give them certain characters in the book, and they have to read the parts.
Ah.
Yes.
That's got to be fun for them.
Oh, they love it. They love it.
They love it. That's awesome, Sauce. That's a great thing for them to take and utilize and do. And then if you have any other books or maybe works that you're working on that you might think come out soon?
Yes, I'm working on my second book. It's still in the stage. It's not finished, but it's going to teach the same life lesson. For some reason, I'm drawn to animals. Oh. So this book is called Kekere the Aunt, a little aunt that you see ants run around. So this is a good story that teaches a life lesson. And the children love it. They love the characters. They get into the characters. When I do the book readings for this Mumba the Lion, I have shapes of the lion paws. I have the coloring book for the lion. And I have them say the affirmations. Speak your truth. Because if you don't speak your voice, someone else will. And they won't say it truthfully.
That's probably important for young people to learn, right?
Yes.
Speak your truth, defend yourself, speak up. A lot of kids, they'll hide stuff or they'll be afraid. Maybe I shouldn't talk about this, yada, yada, yada. And so sometimes, talking about stuff can get you out of maybe some trouble if you got in some trouble there, right?
Yes.
And it's a great encouragement for children to open up, feel that it's safe for them to talk, It's safe for them to discuss certain things. And, I mean, if something happens to them, maybe a stranger or something weird goes on, you want them to be able to talk to you and go, hey, this went on. And you don't want them to hide it out of shame or embarrassment. And like you say, speak your voice and let it be heard. And that's an important lesson I think all of us need to learn. So people can learn that with the book. What any other future things that we hold or anything maybe that we miss you wanted to talk about the book?
I'm really looking at the possibility of doing comic books and of doing a cartoon of the stories, because we have to understand that in 2026, our children are fragile. They live in a world of social media. There's no human touch. Like when you and I were kids, we ran out, we had friends on the street. In today's world, the parents are working longer hours, so the companion is the TV, is the phone. Yeah. And that there's no real life scenarios. So storytelling brings that into the forefront.
Yeah. It makes us, you can understand how life works. And it also teaches others how to write stories and do stories and all that sort of stuff. That's really important. As we go out, give people a final pitch out to pick up your book, wherever fine books are sold, how they can reach out to you on your website to find out more.
Listen, it's been a wonderful time to come out here and speak with you tonight. Please go to Amazon, go to Barnes & Noble, or go to my own website, www.SubomiMacaulay.com, and pick up a copy of this book, Mumba, the Lion Who Forgot to Roar.
There you go.
Why you must roar, because a roar is not noise, it is presence, your presence.
Mumba the Lion Who Forgot to Roar. Somewhere, I guess, in the book, maybe he remembers. We don't want to give away the ending, but
that's exactly what happens.
I had a feeling that might be the plot. So thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And thanks, Ernest, for tuning in. Order of the book wherever fine books are sold. It's out March 31st, 2026. Mumba, the Lion Who Forgot to Roar. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss1 on the TikTok, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.
All right, we'll see if we can edit